Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We're going to be going into the winners match here of Group B. We had a very fast TVZ where Cure, he could not have won more against Solar. I don't know where this puts him going up against herO. All I'll say is that Cure has put a lot of prep in for today.
Yeah, I was really impressed with this TVZ. Again, we were talking about this before he played against Solar, but I kind of think about that guy as a TVP specialist.
Yeah.
And TVZ is one of those things where, don't have as many data points, at least for me personally watching his games. But he came in swinging today. He had a game plan, and it worked to perfection with a clean 2-0. Neither game particularly close. Just the 3 racks completely caught Solar off guard. And then in game number 2, the battle mech, he microed it perfectly. He hit it just as long as he needed to do and was easily able to convert that into a win.
Yeah, and so now we go to herO versus Cure. I do think herO is going to really show us what he's planned out today. I think herO expected to beat Keen, but knew he was either going to be up against Cure or Solar, both of which are basically major threats from the round of 16 all the way up to the round of 4 for herO. So this should be a pretty exciting match. I do look forward to how herO is going to approach this. We've seen before versus herO that herO knows how to map out styles of play that even herO can't be ready for. So what will he have planned here for Keen? I'm not sure.
I feel like it's going to be something kind of crazy here because Cure is one of the best TVP players in the world. And, herO, if he wins this match, he is moving on from the round of 16 to the round of 8.
Right.
And that's a big stepping stone on the path towards reaching the semifinals and eventually the finals. So I wouldn't expect herO to try and save anything here for future PBTs. I think he's going to give it the best he's got.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. We're going to Babylon for map 1. Remember that the winner of this best of 3 survives and goes on to the round of 8.
DKZ Gaming, herO. Club NV, Cure.
I do wonder what hero's going to bring out here today because I felt like he was playing kind of, I don't want to say basic, but kind of vanilla in his first match against Keen. The DT drop with Blink was pretty cool, but that's not the kind of thing that I think you break out against a player like Maru.
Didn't he also do that after he saw the 3rd command center? Didn't he get an Adept in and see that?
I think the Adept confirmed what the build was.
Because I wonder if that...
But he was already going DT.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
You could be right. My memory's always hazy with these kind of things in terms of timeline.
Well, it's just funny because, we're collecting information. Sometimes things are happening a little bit before, a little bit after what we think it's going to be. But especially in Game 1, it was just basically like a standard textbook PVT flex. And so... yeah, I don't really know what hero's going to do. I do think Game 2 was very impressive. It did seem like Keen kind of fell victim to his own trap.
A little bit.
It's funny because when you see the 3 orbitals, it's like, well, that's a lot of scans, right?
And then he scans and he sees the Dark Shrine. Like, oh, well, he knows it's coming.
Yeah, it's like you made too many mules is what you did. And so it's like Keen kind of fell into the trappings of the greedy build itself, and it's how he was punished. So this time around, I do think Cure is an overall more robust, solid Terran. I think he's one of the Terrans that's maybe the best in the whole world, especially around mid-game and early game fighting Protosses. I think he's also great late game, but I do think this guy is very good with his drops. He's very good with these little tactical moments of trying to do damage and get ahead. Protoss do seem to have these moments of fragility regardless of the matchup, and including even PvP, where it's like, if you just can kind of trip up their unit composition and get it lopsided, they have a hard time recovering.
It's a funny little dance we have going on here.
Yeah, this is so weird.
The Zealot and the Reaper, but you know what this is doing, Tasteless, is this is keeping the Reaper occupied while herO goes for a proxy game.
Yeah, that Reaper's wrestling in the bush with that Zealot when in fact...
And now it's got to go home because the Adept is out. So this gate's going to go unscouted, and we might see some heavy pressure here coming out of herO.
Total? So this is a 3-gate shove. This might be, I don't know for sure, but I think you might just be able to run up and kill the bunker.
Oh, and it's Hellions here too for Cure. I think that's the worst case scenario here as Terran in terms of unit selection coming out of that factory.
So, yeah, sometimes when you get a bunker up at the entrance, there's actually not a lot of SCVs to repair it. And
it hits so fast.
Yeah, the damage comes out fast enough. And this is something you got to keep in mind, you know, when you get games like this where it's like, well, yeah, maybe you would have SCVs to repair it, but can you actually pull them over there in time? And I think if he can kill the bunker, I think he might just be able to run up there and kill him. I could be wrong, but I can't imagine a game where you have a gateway outside the base like this. This wouldn't be about a build that you want to activate in the next minute or so.
It's going to be at depths. I was wondering whether he might morph in some stalkers and try and go for what you said, like the bunker kill and perhaps a killing blow, but instead it's going to be a huge adept shade coming in.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's going for the natural. He had the opportunity to go into the main base, but instead just going to pounce on these SCVs. Marines and the Hellion doing a ton of damage already. Takes 3 shots to take these units down, but there's so many adepts that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, this is already really bad. He does load that up. I think there was not actually full Marines in that bunker. I think some of the SCVs are actually in there right now.
Yeah, exactly. Only 1 Marine in total.
Yeah, and because of this, I mean, he can basically come up. I think he might actually not get this depot in time. He's going to try to switch the damage down onto these SCVs. They do repair this pretty quickly.
He's not getting the depot, but I don't think he's ever expecting to get the depot. He's trying to force Cure to come out with the SCVs to repair so we can get even more kills. And, I mean, right now, herO are already up 6 workers overall, getting a ton of damage in, and also kind of slowing down Cure building up his army. I mean, he got that Hellion. He never got to use it for anything he wanted to. All of his Marine count got reset now. He only has a handful of Marines here with his first siege tank. So overall, I think herO is going to be very happy with his position. That was a successful attack.
And now we're going to have Stalkers come into play. This is a very cool way to approach this because he does the initial damage with the Adepts. He's continuing to scout in. He's confirming that there's a siege tank up. But, you know, a Blink Warp Prism Stalker build could just end up taking him out in the main here. Now, I think seeing the Stalkers, you're probably going to be able to guess what's coming, but let's see exactly how Cure handles this, because sometimes knowing is not actually enough. He's already lost a lot of workers and Marines early on. He doesn't have as much to protect the tanks. We see 5 Marines up here now.
Yeah, let's see what herO decides to do with this. I feel like he might be able to kind of ride the momentum from that early attack with some Blink Stalker follow-up, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see him just throw it on a third base and try to play the longer game here, maybe even more of a gateway man kind of style here, knowing that Cure's Marine count did get soft reset there early. And okay, so it's going to be Blink Stalker pressure, but he's going for Templar Archives and charge behind this, so it's not really the kind of all-in we usually see. And actually blinking in, he will be able to pick off the Raven. Gonna have to micro here with his Warp Prism, though. Instead, a couple of Stalkers going down. I don't know if that was worth it.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a clunky moment. I think he did not realize how much was actually there ready to defend. Really, the Marines in the tank were placed basically perfectly for Cure, so herO read that information incorrectly, came in, and then lost a lot of Stalkers, at least half of them. Now, he can always recall this. This isn't trapped here forever. Yep. But I got to say, round 2 of the attack there from herO was a lot worse than round 1.
Yeah, I think he just wasn't really anticipating there being so much there in the front, and he didn't have an observer, right? So he was just going with a limited vision from the Warp Prism, but you want to retain the element of surprise. You don't want to poke and prod, see how much they have, then come back in with the blink. Right. You want to just go for it. That time didn't pan out for herO.
Maybe better to just send 1 to blink in first to confirm.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see if Cure's able to get some damage done with his counter push, because this is now a very fragile moment here for our Protoss player. He lost a lot of Stalkers there in that push. He only has 1 Archon out here in a Warp Prism. Zealot charge, it should finish before the big engagement comes in. But this is a precarious position.
Yeah, this kind of sucks for Protoss, honestly. Stim's done. I mean, Charge is done, but Stim is a little bit of a bigger deal, at least for now. We don't have any of these kind of core units, like Immortals or, you know, a lot of Sentries to cut this up. We've got, like, 1 Archon. That's not exactly the number we're looking for. Now, Cure has a limited amount of time to try to come in here and do as much damage as he can. It looks like he wants to try to shell the infrastructure in the main. I wasn't really expecting this to be the area that he would go to.
Nice blink there, dodging the Widowmite shots. As hero's going to have a good opening engagement here. Is able to take out the first siege tank, going to try and focus the second one down with his Stalkers. Will eventually clean that up. And I mean, overall, that's a pretty good trade here for herO. I'm still liking Cure's position, but herO taking out 2 of the 3 siege tanks here in the front line goes a long way towards buying him a little bit of breathing room for the next engagement.
Ooh, big interception here. These Stalkers going to catch these medevacs. Good distribution on the damage with that. And a pretty scrappy set of units here now. Going to be set inside the main. And I just think herO kind of basically has enough. I think he's done a perfect job of playing the interception game and shutting down reinforcements. And now I think that Cure has to leave. He's still looking strong, but he hasn't done any real damage.
Yeah, I feel like there was more potential for damage there than Cure was able to get done. And
I think
just
he
as
almost,
you said,
he almost made it too hard for himself by coming down on the low ground. I wonder if it's better to commit on an expansion.
Yeah, I was expecting him to go push into the third base, but hold that thought. Actually tastes his Cure. He's going for a Doom Drop right now. 4 medevacs fully loaded here, coming into the main base of herO.
He's going to have to recall here, and that recall is going to come in here right now. Can he actually trap any of these medevacs and get them before they can leave? No blink forward.
I think Blink was actually on cooldown there. He used it earlier at that first engagement here. So those medevacs will be able to get out, but Cure, I mean, it feels like all these engagements, all these little tiny trades, he's bleeding out a little bit more army than herO, and there was at one point a pretty wide discrepancy between the power of these two forces, but it feels like herO's been doing a really good job equalizing.
Yeah, I think he's done a very good job of this. Let's see how this Widow Mine connects. It does do a lot of damage to those Zealots, a very unfortunate moment. I think Cure's set up a pretty good pin right now. He can kind of roam outside of this natural expansion there at the second base for the Protoss. And then if the Protoss tries to chase him, he can pick back up and run into the main. And the result of that is the Terrans set up a third base that's healthy, that hasn't really been touched once in this game. And, you know, as much as herO's holding these attacks off, he is ahead in supply.
Yeah, Cure continuing to hold on to supply, going to finally clean up this gateway, as that was a long time coming. That gateway does get mopped up there over on the fourth base, and herO looks like he's gunning for an attack here with these charge lots. His charge lot count is really high. Cure not in the best position for this. He has some forces across the map. Storm's coming in right there. Cure was not anticipating that, as all the Widow Mines are going to get cleaned up, and this bio loses a ton of HP. Now herO sending the Zealots into the third base here for Cure, getting a lot of economic damage done as he's trying to zone away this army, but Cure coming in with the reinforcements.
Huge attack in over here. It seems like the arc may be a little bit better for Cure. I don't think that herO quite has enough. Some storms come down, but so many key units are picked off, and I do wonder now, can Cure actually seesaw this into a victory, taking out the third base on the other side of the map for herO?
I think he might be able to. I don't think herO realized exactly how much of Cure's force was on the other side of the map, and so when those forces came back and reconverged with the forces there at the natural expansion, the arc was just massive. And Cure, he's going to keep the momentum going right now. He does not want to slow down. He knows that that herO needs to make a magical play right happen, but no! The Disruptor shot, not good enough. Cure, 50 supply lead right now, pushing into the third base.
Yeah, and I think that this is just enough to tip him over. Cure is going to be taking game one. GG. Beautifully done. And that means he's just 1-1 away from now going on to the round of 8 in this GSL. Very impressive stuff. And, you know, honestly, I think a very good mid-game play there from Cure.
I mean, this is what he does with the best of them in the world. Is his army control in the mid-game and in the late game just feels unstoppable. And for whatever reason, when you actually play against herO, if you watch him play, it just feels like he has more stuff than other Terrans. I don't know what it is about him and his macro. It just feels like he always has more bio. And I mean, it's a testament to his skill that after that early push there with the Adepts in his natural expansion, he lost, I think, four Marines. He lost a lot of mining time. He lost a handful of SCVs. There was a lot of damage done there by herO, and Cure was still able to rebound in a big way and just swing the army supply advantage in his favor after herO just had one slip up with Blink Stalker attack in the main.
Yeah, and I think he played the map itself very well. We saw the Protoss expand up in a straight line. And the fact that there's such a wide cavity at the bottom of the map outside the main, he can basically run up, try to pick off units that are reinforcing with any other push coming out on the map. He can pick up and go into the main and drop. And there were moments it seemed like actually herO was playing like a little bit better, but long term it clearly was not enough. We never also saw herO, and some of this could be down to the opening that herO played with, didn't have a lot of the technical stuff that you're kind of building up to in a PvT. You know, I mean, there's many ways to do it, but getting Immortals, getting some Archons, getting the Disruptors, sometimes getting a Colossus. Every game is different, but, you know, he went for the Adept play into the Stalker play, and that seemed to delay the building blocks that allow you to fight Terran bushes later on. So Cure kind of ran away with a bit of the game there when he was able to push and take that third and not really experience any pressure at all.
And even with the storms here, was able to drop there at the end. It was not enough. Let's see if herO can fight back and force a set 3 as we load into map number 2, Gresvin.
DKZ Gaming, herO. Club NV, Cure.
Okay, game 2 is upon us. Cure has been playing, honestly, better than anybody else in GSL so far.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like just really come out flying right now. And, you know, we talked about it a couple times already, but it's worth mentioning again. I mean, players are hungry now. GSL's, you know, is still the oldest Canadian esports tournament. We've had to reduce it in its size, but, you know, this has kicked in a lot of motivation for these players.
And Cure coming up here in a big way in Group E. I mean, I'm still impressed with how easily he was able to win the first TVZ of the day with some just, frankly, fantastic build order planning. I mean, that's really all it was. And it caught both of us by surprise, too.
Yeah.
It certainly caught Solar by surprise. And then you would think that, you know, herO getting the advantage there early in game number 1 with the Adept timing attack possibly is going to throw Cure off his game a little bit, but Cure, it felt like he didn't miss a beat. He just continued to keep on rolling, was able to easily deflect the Blink Stalker pressure that herO tried to commit to, delaying a third base. And then Cure's like, okay, well, momentum is back in my favor. I'm going to push across the map. And even when he sieged into that third position, which we were a little bit skeptical about because he lost those siege tanks and it felt like it was a little of an overextension.
Well, he didn't kill off the cybernetics core gateways or anything either.
I think he wanted to force an engagement, but I mean, it could have gone better for him, right? Perhaps if we move into the third. But regardless of that, you know, the next army comes across the map for Cure, and it's even bigger.
Right.
And herO just felt like he didn't have an answer for it.
Well, he is so good at playing these games where he just, you know, there's nothing too fancy about it. He's just so solid in the matchup and kind of, again, I think some of this does go back to the play that herO had back there, maybe a little bit too technical without actually getting enough done. It was Adepts into Stalkers with Blink.
Into Charge Zealots, and then
Into
very late
yeah.
Storm. With some
Yeah,
Archons,
and the
so.
Storm really wasn't doing anything, and it's like, okay, you might want to try to, you know, push some robo units out here or do something that's going to at least keep you safe.
But that's also goes back to the way that Cure was playing, you know, like he kept the pressure on. herO didn't really feel like he had the time or the resources to really take a third base and also tech up to those key units. He had to choose one or the other.
Right.
He went for the third base instead of teching up and just try to kind of go gateway mode. And it did not work out in his favor, but you know, it's a new map right here. herO still the best Protoss player in the world. I mean, it's him and MaxPax, and then I mean, I don't even know who I would put behind those two, breaking around the top. But I wouldn't expect Cure to have quite an easy time here. Map number 2 as the Reaper does get cleaned up. herO's been, interestingly to me, favoring these low ground gateway walls here in PvT. I'm continually like seeing this rise in popularity, and I think it's cool. I like all these new things that herO is, I mean, maybe not necessarily pioneering, because I don't think he's the first player to really do this, but really popularizing is kind of the leading figure for the Protoss race right now.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, this game is reaching back into very older standard play. Yeah. We've got a quick medevac coming up here. Over here for the Protoss, it was 3-gate Stalker. He's going to get that third Nexus up, and he's basically playing the defensive game of being ready to catch and intercept any kind of drop that would come forward. We've got the Twilight Council coming here as well. And I don't think we're going to have anything of major impact anytime soon here. Just one medevac with one Widow Mine inside of it to see if he can get anything done. And honestly can't imagine this will get much done.
It's one of the most timid Widow Mine drops I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's only one of them in that medevac, man.
Yeah, this is kind of funny to see that, this is what's going to be coming out.
Yeah, well, we'll see what it's able to get done. Widow Mine does get burrowed here. We'll pick off 2 probes for its trouble before it gets cleaned up. Provide some space here for this Hellion, which is going to get... Oh, if we can line up another shot, actually. This is pretty good. I like this move here by Kira. I was wondering where that factory build time went. It went into that Hellion. And you know what? That's actually better than a 2 Widow Mine drop. He sends in a Hellion, picks up, what, 3 or 4 more probes, gets 6 in total. That's a win.
That was actually probably about as bare minimum as you could ever ask for a harass on a 3-base position. And he actually got more damage than he paid for to get the harass in.
That's
so
that's like a meal, like a really fancy restaurant where it's like the tiniest possible plate. It's 1 Widow Mine and 1 medevac and 1 Hellion, but it delivered, And
then there's a hair in it, and it's free. It was like, yeah. I mean, I'm very delighted to see Kier pull that off. And so already, herO limping a little bit. Again, not the end of the world. We don't know who's going to take this game, but it was a good start for Kier coming in.
Yeah, nice opening there. I like that mix of the Hellion and the
we have a lot of these games where it looks like, oh man, like this guy's going so hard into this rush or this push is so dramatic and that's so exciting. But a lot of times, like the very minimalist, simple, but cost-effective moments while you're racing ahead back at home can be even more impressive.
And it's clearly very calculated, right? You send in the 1 medevac. Protoss doesn't know how many Widow Mines are in there. He doesn't know what he has to prepare for.
Right. Whoa.
That's a lot
6
of
gates.
gateways. Yeah, and I'm curious now to watch the probe count. Okay, it's still continuing to go up, so I think this might be herO just trying to really lean into gateways, kind of similar to the way that he did in game number 2, but just absolutely crush this push in its tracks. He's going up to 10 gateways in total. These Stalkers right now are going to buy him a little bit of time here with some nice micro.
He's got a Raven here. He has the herO has the potential to set up a counterattack. If a push comes, I'm not sure if it actually is going to come, by the way, but if it does, there's a lot of infrastructure out here at the front. So this could be a moment you just sort of win the fight there, and they can't produce anywhere near as much, especially not with the Robo. I think it was 6 gates that were made inside the main base.
Yeah, 6 or 7. So we're up to 9, maybe 10 gateways right now for herO as the final gates are finishing up, and that push is going to come through here for Cure. Charge, I think it's maybe about 15-20 seconds away here for herO. He's really going to want to warp in some Zealots to try and anchor his army and hold off this fight. And you can see him posturing here with the Stalkers. He's trying everything he can to buy time, but doesn't quite have vision for where Cure is maneuvering, and that might cost him.
Yeah, and he's going to come out now. And, I feel like if anybody could hold the rush, it would be herO with how many gateways he made, especially with the Stalkers coming in here to just intercept the push. These are some really good ideas at play. He's going to siege up these tanks. He's got the armor shred out here. The wall is okay, but he does pick up and kind of get behind it. There's a lot here for herO right now.
There's a lot here for herO, but there's a lot here for Cure as well. That's a lot of Widow Mines burrowed under that tank. This is going to be a very difficult position to bust with just gateway units, even if you can get the Zealots on top of it. herO's going to need a really nice engage here, a nice arc. You can see him trying to set up for it, just barely skirting all these units right out of range of these siege tanks. And now the pressure is going to start. Cure going for that shield battery first. Force field's coming in. We'll section on some of this army. And actually, herO with a big commitment, blinking in on the right side. The Zealots are going to come in. They are cleaning up a lot of those Widow Mines, but you just see the damage potential here from Cure, as even though that was about the best engagement herO could have hoped for, Cure just continuing to power through. A 50 supply tasteless.
This is wild. The tank was just far out enough. The Immortal had to try to commit to get in there and get it. The force fields at times working against herO. We have Stutter Stop Micro coming down as the Zealots are going to be thinned out. 2 disruptors are being made, but it seems like Cure is going to shove in over here.
Yeah, herO doing everything he possibly can to buy time for those disruptors to give him a little bit more space, but all this infrastructure, as you said, Tace, is right here at the front. 1 gateway already down, 1 Robo down. There's now only 1 disruptor in production. More Zealots getting warped in, and herO for now will be able to push this back a little bit, but I feel like Cure is just going to start parade pushing this position. You see the army coming in on both sides. There is so much bio here.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. The disruptor's now out. It's going to fire a shot. It will whiff. Not hitting any major target. Cure can collapse in once more. I think that may be it. I think he's going to 2-0 herO here.
And herO just muscling his way through right now. And even if herO is able to stabilize, which he might not be able to, herO in such a commanding position. Excellent control, excellent game plan from start to finish here. 50 supply ahead of herO as herO. He's doing everything he possibly can to try and stay in this game. But I mean, having to just go for one Widowmine there with the Disruptor, you need bigger hits than that in this position.
Yeah, and the Zealots come forward. He pulls back away. Just 5 Stalkers remaining over here. The third base is so vulnerable right now. The probes are now being massacred, and I just don't see enough complexity here on the side of Protoss things for there to be any way to recover.
I think this is just about it. You can see herO laughing a little bit to himself right there and shaking his head as he's starting to come to terms with the situation here. Is there really is no way for him ever to change the momentum back in his favor. I mean, look how many medevacs we have. We have more medevacs than Protoss units on the field. You're never going to kill this bio army.
Yeah, it's funny. There's always just enough medevacs here with energy that the healing, the sustain is going to continue on. One more Disruptor comes out. The shot, not good enough. And now he can pounce on that Robo. GG, Cure 2-0's herO in a shockingly one-sided series.
Yeah, I was expecting this to be a really competitive match, but man, Cure came to play today. You saw that not only in match number 1, but also in match number 2 herO against herO. Back-to-back solid games. I love the game plan there. I mean, coming with a 1 Widowmine and the Medevac and the Hellion gets him a little bit of economic momentum. And then the attacks come in, and it's kind of reminiscent of game 1 where he fortified that one position outside of where the cybernetics core was, the initial gateway, that pylon there in herO's base. And herO, he feels like he has to engage, and I mean, honestly, he does with his gateway style, but Cure just takes his fights so well. He is so good at controlling these units in these tough situations.
I gotta say, I'm blown away. Cure is our first player in Group B to advance. herO, of course, is not eliminated. And up next, we're gonna have the losers match.
Yeah, losers match is going to be next. As you know, these players fighting for their tournament life here in GSL. As we're already in the round of 16, they desperately want to make it to round of 8 in the offline portion. Oh, I can't use words right now.
You're fine.
Offline portion of this tournament.
It's been crazy so far. Great games. Keen vs. Solar is going to be up next, so we have a TVZ for you guys. Interview time here with Cure. Let's see how he's feeling. Cure, congratulations. Thank you. Your condition was great today. How do you feel?
전략을 준비했는데 그게 잘 풀려서
The match against Solar, I put my prep in. It paid off. I guess I had a lot of momentum after that victory.
준비한 전략을 가지고 좀 손쉽게 이겼다 쳐도 김주도도 마찬가지로 좀 까다로운 상대였을 텐데 어떻게 준비를
You said you had an easy victory against Solar with your prep, but it also seems like versus herO, it wasn't that difficult either. Well, I didn't have a ton of different builds to use against herO.
그 3차 간 이후에
herO also used builds he doesn't use that often today.
좀 빡세지 않았어가지고 좀 할만했던 것 같아요.
그럼 그 전에 있었던 사도 난입 한번 앞마당 쪽에 허용했을 때 그때는 좀 느낌 어땠나요?
So herO's build for me personally, it wasn't very difficult to manage. So I think that's why I came out on top
그렇게
and
되면 지는
victorious.
건데 좀 마인이 터져줘가지고.
So you had a game like that on Babylon. I thought I had a low chance to win versus him on that. I think it's just I was able to eke out more damage with fights over time. I think that carried me.
또 준호 형 또 뭐 준비했나 했는데 그래도 화차로 다 봐가지고
이게
화차가
왜 말을 끊어요?
죄송합니다. 선수 미안해 도우가 미안해. 일단 강민 선수
Wasn't really sure he was going to be using that build.
그 강민 선수한테 2세트에서 오군수 원정으로 사이클론 함차 타이밍을 좀 더 타이트하게 잡고 이겼잖아요. 이거 아마 연초인가? 레이너 선수가
I didn't quite catch that.
It sounds like he didn't really anticipate herO using these builds, but was able to win with them anyway.
He said, if I remember correctly, Rain used some builds like that earlier this year
해야 되는 것 같아요. 이런
in an earlier tournament.
네, 명우 같은 경우는 무조건 바퀴 운영을 하는데 그게 좀 맞는 개념인 것 같아요, 저는.
그러면
Dark likes to use roaches a lot against Terran,
변현우 선수가 투병형 사신이 그냥
but Solar
차이가
didn't.
있는 거지 나는 정석 같다라고 얘기를 했거든요. 근데 김도욱 선수는 그 빌드를 안 했어요. 그 빌드에
Let's talk about the 2-Rax Reaper build.
저는 그거
We heard
하면은
Beyond and other Terrans talk
저희가라고
about,
생각을
you know,
해서
the power of this build. Did you have a take on this build order?
마린으로 피해를 줘야 되거든요.
Whenever I use that build,
저글링을 무조건 갉아먹거나. 저는 그렇게
I think it automatically
급하게
loses.
하기가 싫어가지고 좀 스타일이 안 맞는 것 같아요.
I don't want to try to rush anything, but I don't like the build personally. It doesn't gel with me.
방대하게 생각하고 있는지 캠 사이즈에 뭔가 의미가 있나요? 얼굴 제일 크게 나오고 있습니다.
Do you know that your face cam size is
아,
huge?
이게 모니터에 걸어놓은 건데.
We only see your face and nothing else in that room.
불편하시면
That wasn't my plan.
잘생긴 김도욱 얼굴 크게 봐서 좋습니다.
I just hang it off my monitor. I hope you're not uncomfortable seeing my face. I can change it if you want.
개인적으로 궁금한 건데 경기 내용 아니거든요?
로션 이야기하는
아니요, 저 마이크 합성인가요?
They were talking about Beyond's face. Hard to see. It was too blurry.
그죠?
네, 우리가 놓은 거예요.
아 그래요? 아,
네.
죄송합니다.
자, 그렇다면 8강에 진출하셨는데
Oh my God! Somebody thought that was that JYP thought the mic was real on the
did.
side. No, it's a part of the scene. JYP.
Said in every interview.
있지만 저한테는 뭐 항상 GSL은 큰 대회이기 때문에
This is the first man to get tricked by basic deepfakes here.
테니까 많이 응원해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
He says even though GSL got smaller, this has always been the most important tournament to me. I'm always going to do my best, so please keep supporting me. That does it for the interview. All right.
Good to hear from our winner here in Group B.
He thought the microphone was real?
Yeah, JYP.
All right, I'm gonna break the fourth wall here. These chains are not really floating behind us. Okay, this may look like an upgrade. Like, wow, they bought giant silver chains. There must be just bodybuilders holding them on either side, pulling them.
Competing in some kind of vacuum.
Yes, it's a game of tug of war with giant chains behind us.
Those are the chains we use to control those robots, man.
That's right. The android at the start of the show, also not real. Anyways, guys, your support on Patreon is appreciated. How could he have thought the microphone was real?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
don't know.
funniest thing that's happened this whole season.
Yeah.
Even the producers in my ears going like, what? How could he think that?
Even our producers digging into JYP
That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Now, the headsets are real, all right?
These headsets are real.
Watch out.
Chains are not real. I feel like we need to list the things that are real and aren't real here at this GSL. Poor
Yeah,
JYP. We got to help him out,
He
man.
really put himself out on the line there, and he paid for it. That's brutal. That's embarrassing. Okay, well, that does it for our winners match. Cure is the first survivor. That leaves us with herO going into the losers match. Solar vs. Keen is next. Of course, we will be eliminating one of those players, depending on who loses. And let's go to break. We'll be right back.